Hey, Hope 365. It's Kathy here again, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what led me to start this channel and just be inspired to share hope and speak life into others. So I'm going to try to be brief, but I have been known to chat. So this isn't one of the daily doses. This is just a little bit of background story for me. Grew up not having to deal with any huge life events that were super tragic, that were personal to me. I couldn't imagine having to go through some trials or loss or hardships that I know others went through in their life. And I share that because I am over 40 and I have grown so much in my understanding of life and my understanding of my own strength and where that comes from, and my worldview and my view on struggles in life and how people handle those differently. So, went to college, Purdue, go Boilers, got my undergrad degree in early childhood education and a minor in child life, which is therapeutic play in hospital settings. Love that job. So that career, I went to the University of Alabama and went to grad school and got my BS specifically in child life, and roll tide. Met a lot of great people there, and beyond furthering my education, I just learned a lot about myself and a lot that I was very passionate about people. I learned a lot about dynamics and family and development, how it affects all of us as a whole. I've been married for 19 years, and because of my husband's position in the Air Force, active duty, we moved a lot. And so that meant that I had to be uprooted and learn and grow and face new challenges, which I'll do a whole nother, there'll be lots of stories about that. Because most of us resist change, and when you're forced to do it, it's not easy, but man, it's so worth it. And I'm so thankful for the 20 years that we were going around the country, and he traveled around the world, and the experiences that we had and the people that we met thanks to those 20 years of active duty Air Force. We tried having kids. Not right away because of Air Force life, and we got married right before 9/11, and the whole world changed on 9/11, which if any of you were alive during that time, you understand. And but when we did start trying to have kids, I figured we'd have problems conceiving, and we did, and just because of my history, and naively, I really thought, well, this is going to be my struggle. I love kids so much. I have always loved kids. I've been drawn to kids. It was my passion to help kids any way that I could. And I really thought there is no way God would ever have me endure losing a child, because I wouldn't be able to handle that. I know other people do. I don't know how they do it, but that is not going to be me. That's not a trial that I could handle. So I really thought that infertility was going to be the struggle that was going to help me grow, and that we were going to face, and I would be sharing in my life. And yes, it was a struggle, and yes, I absolutely am happy to talk with people about that, especially as they're going through it, and give them encouragement and hope. But there is so much more to that down the road, that was just a stepping stone for us. So we did in vitro and conceived and gave birth to our oldest. And then, I felt like I wasn't getting any younger because I was in my 30s. And so we did another round of in vitro, and actually ended up with triplets. And our oldest was not quite 2 yet. And so, want to talk about being terrified. Due to complications, the triplets were born 10 weeks early, and I had identical boys who developed what's called twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. And I only share that because maybe some of you have endured that. And then I had a little girl. So born 10 weeks early, Brady was just under 2 pounds. The other, my son and daughter, were just over 2 pounds. But for being tiny, they were doing great. They were off of respirators within hours. And they said, the NICU life is hard. The NICU, neonatal intensive care unit, is what they call that. But they just need to grow, and we were prepared for that. What I wasn't prepared for, even though I had been on the other side and helped families through the trials and tribulations of hospitalizations, was the ups and downs that were just so extreme. So again, this is my synopsis. So Brady started developing some problems and was put on a ventilator and then another form, and there was just complication upon complication that led us at 13 days of age to take him off of his ventilator. And he passed away, and I had held him during kangaroo care prior, but my husband was the one holding him when he passed away. And the amount of control that I had to give up, not only because all of my babies were being cared for by others, but I physically and emotionally and mentally was exhausted and in a place that I had never been before. I only feel that I got through those dark days because of my faith. I had amazing community, a family and friends, and God had led us to a church community that really had grown Andy and I in our understanding of faith, and we felt like God had prepared us for that moment. So it was awful, of course, and it was terrible and the worst moment of my life, but we endured it, and we endured it with a peace and a hope and an understanding that I didn't even know could exist when people go through these hardships. You see people who go through them, and you're like, how are they doing that? And I can really say that, yes, it was me doing it because God is the one who made me, but God was my strength, and that's how I endured. So no matter where you're at in your faith journey, or whether you even believe in God or not, I really want to share my testimony without upsetting anyone who might have a hard history with God or with the church. We often put God in the same category as church or religious people or Christians, and that's not the case at all. We're all human, and well-meaning people say a lot of not nice things in the name of Christianity or God or Jesus, and that's not what is going to happen here. This is my own personal experiences and testimony. And what I want to say is, Brady passed away. He was 13 days old. His brother and sister were then in the NICU for another 5-6 weeks to continue growing. And there were many ups and downs. There was another, my son almost didn't make it another time, my other son, and it was exhausting, and it was a very, very dark time. So that's my history. That is part of it. Fast forward to where I was starting to feel like I had my sanity back, because part of this will be mamas of little ones. I'm with you, and you can get through this. I promise you. I had a 2-year-old and 2 little preemie babies that I was caring for full time, and it's hard. So hang in there, and there'll be many more days of hope focused directly at you. So I was just starting to feel, I guess, normal again, and feel like we were coming out of the fog, and God decided to surprise us with an unplanned pregnancy on our part. So our surprise pregnancy came when I had a 4-year-old and 2 2-year-olds. And we knew we were going to be moving very soon because of the military. And everyone said, oh, you're just nervous because of what happened with the triplets. This is going to be amazing. And of course, we were excited. I mean, it was laugh or cry. And so we chose to laugh. Perception, that's another thing that helps you get through hard times. Well, it gets through everyday life is how you perceive life events. But within a couple weeks of finding out that I was pregnant, the complications started, and it was my hardest pregnancy. I was on modified bed rest the whole time until I was on hospital bed rest. And trying to do that, I mean, you know, I can't do anything, and I have a 4-year-old and 2 2-year-olds, and we live away from family, and I spent a month in the hospital just trying to grow our youngest for another month, and having faith to get through that, of knowing what was right and what was wrong, and why me, why was this happening to us again. That growth in that time was significant. When our youngest was born, he was born 10 weeks early also. Way more complications than my other preemies. Was not really expected to survive a couple different times during the NICU. Took him home at 6 weeks of age, and when he was 11 weeks old, he got a common cold virus, and his preemie little lungs couldn't handle it, and his heart started shunting blood the wrong direction. He had a heart issue. I thought his heart had stopped. I began performing CPR on him, and he was not. Again, the firefighters came, got him intubated. We had a heartbeat. We went to the hospital. I know everybody thought I was in denial and loony, but once we got to the hospital, everybody was waiting there for us. Well, that's a whole nother story. I'll get into details, but he was not expected to survive. They were waiting to tell me until my husband would get back from training. He was in Texas at the time for the Air Force training, and they were waiting to tell me that. And so I still get emotional about this. Even though Brady's passing was the darkest moment, that time was another time of huge growth for me and dark, dark days. Not knowing if he was going to survive for weeks in the PICU. He was in the ICU, the pediatric ICU, for a month, and struggled to live every day. And I watched mamas around me say goodbye to their babies. And it was very, very hard. So I got through it with the help of others. And it might be that right now you need to hear this, or one of these other videos like on this channel. It might be exactly what you need to hear on that day. And so that's my mission. That is why I'm doing this, to try to help and let you know it's going to be okay. And whether you have to take this day minute by minute, hour by hour, step by step, just keep moving forward and keep getting to that next point, and I promise you it will get better. So our youngest is healthy, happy 7-year-old today, I'm happy to say. We have endured so many hardships during those days when they were younger that I know I'm not the only one. And whether your story is different, I know there's parts of my story that can relate. And so I hope that this helps you, and or helps whoever you share this with, to know that they're not alone and that they can get through this, and to hold out hope and to allow yourself to find strength through others, and through self-reflection and growth and God. So thank you for letting me share my story with you. And I hope that you tune in and and listen to the daily doses of hope that I post. I promise they're all a lot shorter than this. So have a great, great day, and thank you so much.